Assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope you're doing fine all. Just for your attention, I want to make sure that you people understand that we are now moving to D3 as we have already covered major of the portion of our D2. So now we are moving to D3. And the topic that we are going to discuss is how to solve quadratic equations. Now, as you already know what is quadratic equation, just for remembrance, I want to hit your minds that any equation that is degree 2 means the maximum power of the variable in that particular equation will be 2, not more than that, okay? And it will be equal to 2, nothing less than that as well. We will see the equation in the coming slides. So we have discussed one of the techniques how to solve that equation, and the one was factorization that we have already discussed in our previous D2 course. Actually, what is meant by solving an equation? You already know the word solve in mathematics always means to find the value of the unknown. Okay, for example, if I have an equation x plus 3 is equal to 4 and I ask you to solve that equation, then this actually means you have to calculate the value of x. The words simplify, evaluate, these words have different meanings in mathematics, okay? So what is meant by solve? Solve means to find the value of the unknown. Now there are three basic techniques and we have covered only one so far. The one that we have covered is factorization. And want to make your attention towards this fact that factorization is not applicable in all cases. Now how is that possible? Here I'm showing you a question, this one. Just look at this particular portion at the moment. Don't look at the solution for time being. I will be discussing it later. So this is an equation x squared plus 2x minus 5 equal to 0. Now this is a quadratic equation because its degree, maximum power of the variable is what? 2. And this is something that we have already done, that the degree is equal to number of solutions. Means when you solve this question, you will get equal to the degree answers. Means you have got to find 2 answers in the end. Okay, just leave this fact. So this equation cannot be solved through factorization. Why? If you calculate the product of the first and last number, it is coming out to be minus 5. And the middle term cannot be broken into 2 terms that can be multiplied to give 5 and added to give 2. You can check it by yourself as well. I hope you already know this technique very nicely. So this restricts our application of factorization. Now these type of situations, we switch towards the formula of completing square and quadratic formula. They're only used when factorization is not applicable. If factorization is applicable, you should go with factorization. But most of the cases, the question asked in Cambridge exams as well, they're not applicable through factorization, especially in paper 2. So you have to do either to completing square method or either with quadratic formula. For time being, we're only going to discuss the completing square formula. Now, these are the 5 steps. You do not have to take the screenshot. I will be continuously switching to this slide in the lecture and you will be given this particular portion in your file as well. So just try to understand. These are the 5 steps basically I have decided for your ease so that you can easily understand what is meant by completing square method. Now I'm coming to the question and we will switch these slides to ensure what we are actually doing. Now this is the equation. The first step that I have written, you have to make sure this should be in standard form. Now, what is standard form? I hope I already told you, but still, just for your remembrance, I'm going to repeat it again, that an equation in which we can clearly differentiate what is the variable coefficient of x squared, x, and without x. For example, if in this equation I ask you what is the coefficient of x squared, you will simply say 1. What is the coefficient of x? You will say 2. And what is the coefficient of constant value or without x? That is minus 5. But in some of the equations, for example, if this equation, if you focus and zoom out, this is x plus 1 whole square into some product of the variable is equal to 8. So this is not in standard form. This is a quadratic equation. This can be converted to standard form, but at the moment it's not in standard form. The reason is you cannot evaluate what is the coefficient of x here, x and the constant. You have to first shuffle it. But if you look at the above equation, this is in standard form. Coefficient of x here is 2, coefficient of x is 3, and coefficient of constant is minus 7. So this is the first step that we have to achieve before starting completing square. Okay, so now let's suppose we are done with the standard form, already given the standard form. Now there are 5 steps. I have written the coding here just for your ease, and we will keep seeing what is actually happening in these steps. Now the first step, if you see in slide number 2, is that I have taken take constant to the right side. What is this? Actually, after achieving the standard form, not before that. For example, this form, you're not going to do this. But after achieving the standard form, the first step should be to take the constant to the right side. So this is what I've done. This minus 5 has been shifted to the other side of the equation, and you already know that whenever a variable, constant, or whatever it changes its equation side, it alternates its product. If it's multiplying, it gets into the divider, and if it's in subtraction, it will be plus. So this is exactly what I have altered the sign and placed the value of the constant on the right side. Now coming to step number 2, and this is already done by the way, that is make coefficient of x here 1. This is very crucial. Why it has to be 1, I will explain it in the next step, but for time being, the question that I am doing, the coefficient of x here is already 1. So this is actually already achieved milestone that I have got. In other questions that I will assign in the Word file, we'll have some questions where the x here coefficient won't be 1 initially. So you have to make it 1 by yourself, and how to make it 1? You have to divide that number through the whole equation. For example, if this would have been 3x here, I would have divided this whole equation by the particular number 3, so that this particular coefficient is 1, no matter whatever is happening on the other variable and the constant side. Okay, and you will see the question, you will get the better understanding, but for time being, you're already done with the step number 2. Coming to step number 3, now I mark your attention on these 2 particular steps. This is the most climax phase of this concept. Now you have to see the step number 3, break the value of x in multiple of 2. I'm using the word x, not x here, okay? Just come to there. You have written x square as x whole square. It's very logical. Now take the sign as it is. If it's plus, you should write there plus, and if this is minus, will go with minus. Now you have to place 2 into x as a fixed number in each and every question. Doesn't matter which value you're using in this question scripts. You have to put 2 and x as a fixed template in this particular step. And then you have to evaluate a number. I've written it as in red, that which value should be multiplied with this 2 to have the previous number back. Obviously 1 by your sense, so you have to decide it yourself. That's why I've written it as red. You can simply do as well that divide this number by 2, every time by 2, and you will get the answer. For example, if this would have been x here plus 4x, there I should have done is 2x into 2, not 1. So that 2 into 2 becomes equal to 4. And what is the easiest way to calculate this number? Simply divide this number by 2. If this would have been 8, this would have been 4. Okay, so you will actually get the same answer back, but this is the format change. So I hope that this particular step is clear to you. You have to yourself decide a number by breaking the middle term of x in the product of 2. Okay. Now that particular number which you have yourself made, you will add it on both sides, and this is what I have mentioned in the step number 4, add adjusted value. I have given that red bracket number as an adjusted value. I have called it as adjusted value. You will add the square of that adjusted value on both sides, and you know this very nicely that whenever you have done anything on both sides of the equation remains the same. For example, if you have multiplied by 2 on the both sides, the equation equality will exist. The greater and lesser sides won't be applicable. Okay, so this is what I've done. Every time whenever you find this number, it can be changed, it can be 2, 5, it can be in fraction as well. You will add the square of this number on both sides of the equation. Now the 5th step is there on the left side. On the right side there is simple solving. Left side you will enclose a formula. Either it will be the formula of plus whole square, a plus b whole square, or it will be the formula of a minus b whole square. Okay, you can see the format a square, 2ab and b square. Now listen to my words very clearly. I want your attention particularly on this subject. The values of x, both the squares, they will always be positive. Why? I have taken the x coefficient 1. 1 is always a positive number, so this x square will every time be positive. Secondly, I have added this value in all questions. I have never used the word subtract there. Add in the 4th step. So it means that these 2 values, x square and whatever this number is, they will always be in positive sign. You will simply write these 2 values without square and place the sign of the middle value, because the outer 2 values are always going to be positive. The sign, whether it has to be done in minus or plus in closing, is to be decided on this particular number. I hope you followed my point. So this is x plus 1 whole square. Suppose this would have been minus and it would have been continually following the track of minus. This should have been closed in minus. Once you have closed this side, you can simplify the other side. 1 square is 1 and simply add it up. And then I will take the square root. Now, you already know, but I want to still remind you fact that whenever you take square root, such a way that one side is variable, x is there, and the other side is constant, you have to put plus minus. If the both sides are constant or both sides are variable, obviously then there will be no theme of plus minus. But if one side is variable, other side is constant, you have to go with plus minus. And we already know the reason why, because plus under root 6 square is also 6 and minus under root 6 square is also 6, because minus into minus is plus. So now just simply separate the two values with the plus and negative sign and simply calculate. Under root 6 is 2.45. You can verify through your calculator as well. You can round up the values only up to 2 digits. You don't need to have in the very detailed decimal explanation. And then you will simply calculate the value of x from this and this. And this will be the solution set. It doesn't really matter that whether you put the first value in the second step or but the both answers must be, you know, placed in the solution set. And this solution set is actually a must. Whenever the word solve is asked, you have to put the solution set, otherwise the marks are deducted. And it is written in the Cambridge guide. So this is basically the completing square method, and when it is applied, when our technique of factorization is not applicable. So I have attached the Word file below this video, and I hope that before shuffling to the third concept of quadratic formula, I want you people to practice this particular concept. Obviously, there are some tricks placed in the question, so I want you people to, you know, just consolidate your concept on this topic, and then we will go inshallah to the next topic in the next lecture. Thank you very much.